Welcome to another edition of the Good Made Podcast. I'm your host, Hassan Clay, and I got my main man with me today, Brother Saleem. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam, rahmatullah, here, brother Katahu. What's going on, brother? Eid Mubarak to you and your lovely family and your wife.
Eid Mubarak to you, my man, and may Allah accept it from you and from us. Ameen. Yeah, man, it's a beautiful time today, and everybody kind of out there loaded up. So, but we want to stay consistent with what we got going on with the podcast.
Yes.
It's part of our grounded masculinity. That's one of the principles of grounded masculinity, which is consistency.
Consistency, absolutely.
So, we want to make sure that we remain consistent, guest or no guest, right? Because we're here. So we are the guests we need today, inshallah.
All we need, and the Malikas, of course.
Of course. The angels, the Malaika. So I got a question for you today, though. Something came to mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know, well, you and I first got on the podcast. We was actually talking about divorce.
Yes.
Kind of going through some of the things you went through with divorce.
Right.
So maybe we can say this is divorce part 3. All right.
Part 3. Let's do it.
All right. For divorce part 3. But
Yeah.
with a little twisters in there, you know what I mean? So, because here's what happens a lot of times with divorce and with breakups. Well, Allah tells us to release each other in kindness, right? We tend to do the opposite.
Right.
Because when people are breaking up, one of the things that, really the breakup starts well before the actual breakup takes place.
Yes.
Right. There's this downhill movement that is taking place where things are beginning to deteriorate. Right.
Right.
And so what can happen in that, and I'm always cautious about using this word, but what can happen in that is toxicity started taking place, or abuse started taking place. People are talking to each other, reckless. They're treating each other without compassion or true concern or things of that nature there. And not so much going into just your situation, because, we still want to protect honor of people, right?
Right.
But we're talking about the experience that you may have had in dealing with the divorce. And because I want to make sure that, as we continue to talk to our brothers and let them know that, okay, maybe what you experienced, wasn't crazy. It wasn't good. Right? Because sometimes we get told that we may be, it's like we get victimized and tell them that we're victimizing people.
Right.
That makes sense?
Right. Yes.
So jump in here, man, and Bismillah, jump in here and let's have that conversation, man, on your experience of what it looks like, and not only just your personal experience, but even indirectly or vicariously how you experience people who have been divorced and what that thing looked like as it deteriorates.
Man, that's a profound situation or a profound question, because it can be different for different people when you speak about toxicity. And like for me, like so me being divorced and everything, I felt as if I didn't have room for mistakes, right? I didn't have a room to correct my mistake, right? It was more so, like you said, I didn't even know it was done until it was too late. So like I said, I'm in scramble mode. But what blew me is all of a sudden, I put 9 years in, and all of a sudden overnight I became a toxic person. I became a narcissist. People who didn't even understand the faith made criticisms about me being a fake Muslim. People, I felt betrayed by people I took care of their children when I was calling for information. But then I realized that I had to remain silent. I had to shut everything down and turn to Allah. I had to really, allow Allah to handle my affairs to a degree where accepting was part of that whole process, accepting the accountability of what I may have done, and realizing like, hey, Saleem, you may never get the closure that you're looking for. You're not going to get the answers because I want to know what happened. But my thing is sometimes in that pushing to realize or knowing what happened or trying to figure that out, you can end up taking part of the toxicity without you even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
You start becoming angry and upset, but what it does is it keeps resetting your healing process over and over again. So yeah, so that's what I found out. What was
We say resetting the healing process.
Yeah,
That's an interesting thing to say, because a lot of times I don't believe that we as men recognize that we go through that reset often, because a lot of times we are a little bitter.
yeah.
That a relationship is over with, or and not knowing how we got there. And some people say, well, I've been trying to tell you, what I mean, but
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, you've been trying to tell me, but you've been telling me a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. Yeah. And I heard that. I was trying to tell you. And I'm like, what was I told? Because like what? And I know I'm not slow. I'm a person that can really receive and be articulate. So it's like, when did you tell me? What was it a real sit down? Was it a real conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Are we mistaking a tough spot in our relationship where we're actually supposed to be growing and not really ending? Are you misjudging this a rough patch? And you're ready to just kind of fold the whole thing in because we're actually Allah wants us to grow together. But then when you have the mix of toxic folks around you giving you information, maybe I'm not saying this is what happened in my case. I don't know. Allah knows best, but you're around toxic people who are giving you misinformation, right? They haven't done any healing, and they haven't been in anything functional ever, right? But we're taking the advice for them instead of going back to what we know, which is Quran and Sunnah, or getting back to the tools that we need to help us get past a rough spot and get better. But it has to be a willingness of both parties to do that. And if it's not there, then it's a wrap. But yeah, it's for me, it was like a constant. I was told, but it was this, like I said, it was resetting my healing process. And I'm like, you know what, Saleem, it's time to kind of move forward.
It always baffled me, and especially being in sessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear that, well, I told him, well, I was telling him, but he wasn't listening. Couldn't be heard. It wouldn't allow me to be heard, whatever, right? You hear a lot of that.
Right.
It's like it got like that's like a PDF that they sent online that they sent out to everybody nowadays.
nobody reading it.
I need to, the comment, I need to be heard. I wasn't heard,
Oh, right.
He's squashing my voice, whatever, right?
Right.
And so, and then the conversation never becomes, then should I hear you over hearing me? Right? I mean, if we having this conversation, I can tell you a multitude of things that I don't feel like I'm being heard from. Right? But then I have to be in a position of sucking up and just letting, the whole thing, women are emotional, I got to keep giving you all these excuses.
Right.
And it's like you running rampant with those excuses.
Mm-hmm.
You get to take the excuse, but then me being human, if I was giving you, if I was say, I mean, I didn't understand, I didn't comprehend what that you was talking about,
right.
Whatever it might be, I mean, the way you were saying it, I didn't hear that.
I didn't get it.
I just heard you complaining.
Right. Yeah. There was no meeting of the minds.
Exactly. And it's like, hey, sit down. This is what I need you to hear. This is what I need. This is what I need from you. or anything. The only thing I'm hearing you complaining, I ain't doing this, I ain't did this, I ain't doing that, I ain't did this, I need to do this. That's all I'm hearing.
Yep.
Right? And it's
Yep.
not like, hey, this is what I need from you, and this is how I'm not getting, And so a lot of men who run into this situation, a lot of men who are, who I- who I've had the privilege of working with, right? That's the main thing they keep saying to me, right? That's the main thing. If I had $1 for every time I heard that coming from a man's mouth, I really do believe I won't have to work anymore.
You'll be set, huh?
I'm set, man. I'm set. I'm traveling. I'm doing all type of stuff, man. Just based upon what somebody's just that statement there being said, man. So, and then there's this lack of safe space. When we started talking about safe space, I know we had the brother on a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago talk about safe space. There's then this lack of safe space,
Mm-hmm.
and the lack of safe space hits different for a man than it does a woman.
Yes, I agree with that because, in a sense, because men, we are under the obligation to create safe spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being back to leadership, your household should be a safe space. Your woman should be able to come and talk to you, and it be safe, right? Whether it be just kind of what's being told to you, but then going back to my situation a little bit, it was more so, how could it be a safe space when the door was left wide open, and people being communicated to about our situation, except for me, like me, the one that needs to hear what needs to be heard. Because I was shocked how many people had more details about my situation that I didn't even know. Like I was like shocked, like whoa, they know all that, you know. And for me, it was hurtful because it wasn't even Muslims who knew. It was people that don't understand the software that we operate under, which is our shahada. They don't even understand that. So how can they even bring you anything that will help us in our dark spot, right, or our conflict, right, to get past it and move past it. But like you said, I just was all I kept hearing was I told you. I'm like, when did you I'm like, when did you tell me what? I wasn't comprehending. I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess when I told you means that, I said it here, I said this there, but to me it sounded like this a complaint, another complaint, that was normal for me to hear,
Right.
during that time period.
And I believe women don't understand this, and this isn't about running down women. When we talk
Right.
about dealing with men, right? You lose leverage when you seemingly feel like you're complaining all the time.
Right.
A woman, you lose leverage with men because at some point he's just going to tune you out because you just
Yeah.
feel like, I'm just another I can't do nothing right moment.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so when you actually do, and sharing this with our community, two two places. If we got these two places right within our relationships, and whatever, regardless of the relationship, if these two things are right, 80% of the problems that you have can be solved. 80% with two things. That's honoring principles and values that a person has,
Mm-hmm.
and the meeting unmet needs.
Mm. Right. And that's what I think happened with me. There was some unmet needs that, if communicated properly,
And there's the point right there.
I could have adjusted and was willing to, on 1,000% level, make the adjustments, whatever needed to be done to keep that person in my life. That's how important I felt it was to me, right?
Mhm.
Not to just throw that away just because we're at a crossroad. But yeah, unmet needs, but not the ability to communicate, articulate what it is and how we can fix it is, I can hear the complaint that was supposed to be, I told you, but the back end of it is, okay, how do we, the communication about how do we get to a point where we can fix it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think causes the frustration when you now that that's over with, you sit back, in your own discomfort as a brother or a man, and you start going through your mind, your Rolodeck, right? You start, and it's like, man, like I was willing to do. I could have got another job. I got, I could have done another business, but it wasn't. I didn't have the time, and the communication wasn't there to be able to fix it, And then again, maybe maybe she, at this point, this person on the other side of the stick might already have moved on, and you just didn't even know they had moved on. And so I had to sit and deal with that. So, but yeah, I agree with
So
you.
you just brought up a point, and I'm gonna dig into your head a little bit with the
Yeah,
viewers, and you can actually kind of reverse it and dig back into me, right?
yeah,
Because we just having this conversation. The Get Made podcast is about having a conversation, right?
right.
So one this thing about money when
Mhm.
it comes to dealing with women,
Okay.
because when things start going downhill, unless you done picking up and body slamming or whatever the case may be, they always going to start turning everything about he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that, right? They always become about money. And I just heard you say something. If I had to get another business, try to start another business, as if starting another business would automatically brought you immediate income in right there.
Right. Yep.
Unless you went out there. I mean, I don't know if you remember back in the day, we used to go collect pop bottles.
Yeah, I did that.
All right. And
Can.
so, we take the pop bottle, take it to the store, then rest of them out, take the store and everything else, right? And redeem that change for them,
Right.
right? And so, unless you don't talk about doing something that automatically give you a transaction of I give you this, you give me that, and you have enough clientele to be able to do that, businesses have to be built.
Takes time.
It takes time, and so now I can say even for myself or other brothers how you get caught into a situation where you know you start hearing conversations about money, and then you try to figure out your life in the process
Mhm.
of this, right? And I think what I've seen a lot of brothers do is become paralyzed when that type of talk is taking place,
Right.
right? Because it is kind of a strike at it feels like a strike at your manhood.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, you say absolutely. Tell me how that feels for you. How is that hitting for you?
Well, because like, you're a brother that goes out here, works 40 hours a week, right? You're going in, I work in corporate America, right? And I'm looking at computer screens all day, solving problems, whatever. Then come home, like my situation, come home, cook, clean, do things that, what I'm saying, a wife would do, or, the wife role. But I wasn't even looking at it like that. I'm looking like I'm just going to, take ownership or whatever I need to, and you know, pour every bit of your resources into your household. Meaning, what I'm saying, not only just your money, but your time, repairs to the home, car maintenance, lawn care, and then to have it, and people saying that you're missing the mark financially, or you're not a provider. It crushes you. So then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna go start another business, and now you're draining yourself. But what I found out, it comes back to contentment, right? And this is what we have as Muslims, right? People are not content at all with what Allah's giving you, and Allah be giving you a lot. But when you're delusioned, and I think it's back to these smartphones and what you're seeing on social media, when you're delusioned about where you're at in your life, and and stuff like that, you can feel like you're missing something, or it's not enough, or what you're doing doesn't equal up to so and so, or now you're comparing yourself to other people, right? But yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of like you only can provide out of your means what Allah is giving you. And when I'm finding out, some men are being sucked dry. They're trying to do all this. Like I said, I didn't even have clothes. I didn't even have clothes. It didn't have clothes, didn't but didn't feel bad because I'm really pouring everything I had, not only financially but emotionally, spiritually to the best I can, and didn't have a person say that you missing the mark because they're not going on vacations or they're not getting bags, or you really feel at that point now it becomes your masculinity has been cut, but now you feel disrespected on top of that. Now you didn't respect me. Now that goes back to you being toxic because now you're angry about it. Now you're getting off into the woman hating and the red pill, blue pill stuff, right? Now you're getting off, and so it's like, man, but yeah, I've been there. I've been there. Wasn't a time where my family didn't have health insurance and dental insurance and all that kind of stuff, right? And that costs money. So when you say financial, it's not always about money. It's about resources, right? Financial to me also means time and commitment. But I feel like it was folded too fast because we could have got further together versus you feeling like, well, I don't want to pay bills, or I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. But going back to things, not unfulfilled needs not being met and not being communicated.
It's interesting, man. So I'm scrolling through certain things on TikTok, right?
Right.
And I roll up on this conversation that's been held between these, group of people, men and women, right? And so they got into that whole 50-50 conversation.
Right.
And I'm not doing no 50-50. I'm not doing this, doing that, right? And so the guy like, wait a minute, hold up. What do you mean 50-50? Tell me what that means. You're not doing 50-50. He says, so you're not paying a bill at your house at all? She says, yeah. I pay bills. I pay a bill. I pay, and they start running off the bills that she paying. Then you see like that other woman, so I'm not doing none of that, that she kind of like on that type of time, I'm not trying to drain nobody dry, Then he asked them, where is the 50-50 conversation coming from?
Yeah, it completely confuses me as well, because my thing is before I came into the picture, you was doing 100%. So would you rather, and I'm not trying to get people, the sisters to buy into 50-50 because a man's supposed to be a provider, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like, okay, what comes with, if I was being 100% provider, what comes with that? And now you get into a talk about modern woman. So even if you did 100% in provider, back to appreciation and communication, where they appreciate and really understand what they really have. And then, like in my situation now that I'm divorced and everything, and I'm doing pretty good. I'm not homeless, nothing like that. It gets to the point as a man, you don't ever want to be in a position where a person could feel that you're not contributing or feel as if they're being used or whatever. Like I'm like to the point like I'm cool paying my own bills. And I don't want you get to that point where I don't want no sister no more. I don't want to be responsible to provide for anybody except for me and my children at this point. And now it's safer that way. It's safer that way, but then that's not the way it's going to help you really expand and
your life.
That's right.
Because you have to be, as a man, and it's just a default button. You're going to be responsible for a woman.
Absolutely, you want to.
You want to be.
You desire to.
I mean, I don't know a man who truly, whatever dime he got,
wouldn't give it.
Wouldn't give it to his woman.
Happily give it to her.
Right. I know cats who turns their pockets inside out.
With lint in it,
They didn't get the lint too. Right. Not only get the dollar, they get the lint. They got with it. You know what I mean? Everything can be given, right? And so then, if he's given all that he has, then you're saying that's not enough.
Heavy.
Then you telling the man that's not enough. Right. But I'm giving you all that I got. And you see, I'm giving you all that I got. So then you're saying to me, and it gives, and I know I have a non-Muslim sectors on this podcast, and I want to try to share something because I know we use a lot of Islamic terminologies.
Right.
And I know black men are just black men, though.
Mm-hmm.
right? At the end of the day,
Yep.
black men are black men,
Facts.
and Muslim or non-Muslim, we kind of run into some of the same problems,
We do.
as black men,
Absolutely.
you know. And so, but it's this narration we call it in Islam hadith. It's this narration about, as y'all call him Abraham, we call him Ibrahim, right? It's just a different spelling, same person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And his son, y'all call it Ishmael, we call it Ismail, right? His son, right? He came to visit his son. Give a real quick story. Came to visit his son. His wife was there, and he out there. He's trying to get it. He's trying to get it. The son out there trying to get it. The woman's at the house complaining. Well, we only eat this. You don't have a this. You don't get this. We only eat grain, or we only eat meat, and we ain't got this, and all this other type of stuff here. So Ibrahim sitting there listening to her. Then he get ready to go. I guess at this point he got fed up with him.
This is a prophet of
Right.
Allah.
Exactly. You got fed up with. In my mind, I don't want to put that in my mind. I'm like, I ain't gonna keep sitting there listening to this. You know what I mean? And so as he was leaving, he said, give your husband the greeting for me. Tell him I said to change the threshold of his door.
Mm.
Right. And so when he come back, he kind of felt a sense. He said, was somebody here? She said, yeah, this old man. He was like this and this and that. He said, okay, what did he say to you? He said, he told me to change the threshold. He told me to tell you to change the threshold of your door. He said, I'm to send you back to your family because of my father. He told me to divorce you.
Mm.
Right? He come back. I guess he got a new wife now. And, same conditions. Wife saying, he does this for us, and he go get this for us. He does this, he does that. Right? Same conditions. Right? And so, Ibrahim tells him, hey, as you ready to leave, say, hey, tell your husband, say, keep the threshold of his door. Right? And so when she told him what happened, he said, that's my father. He told me, he was telling me to keep you. Right? Now, here's what I hear a lot of times too. I said that because this modern thought woman would probably think, or some modern, hell, even some modern men think it might go into this, cats who kind of got a simp mentality, right? Why I got to be down for the struggle, love.
SubhanAllah. Yeah.
Right? And because he's showing up with the same provisions, right? He's providing from his means, right? But she's appreciative of what he's bringing in. With the other one, he wanted him to do more, right? But what some people would come up with, and the idea is that why I got to be down with the struggle, love.
Mm.
Why we always got to be struggling? Why we can't be prosperous, right? Then we have to have a better understanding. And this is what I want you to speak on you.
Right.
Right. And, like I say, it need be, I can kind of answer the same question from my perspective too. But from your perspective, what is prosperity?
Man, prosperity to me is when Allah arranges your affairs and your blessings to where when you reflect on it, you got a pretty good life. You got everything you really need if you're appreciative. You know what I'm saying? These lights are on. That stove works. You got a vehicle to get to the store back and forth and get groceries and bring them back home, right? You can't be on cruises and things of that nature and go to Dubai and all that kind of stuff. But prosperity looks like to me is when people respect and come to you, to help solve problems, and you're respected and your character and your community is great and good, to where opportunities come to you vis-a-vis Allah because, you've put out good energy and good karma into the world. So that to me is prosperity. It's not always about the financial, the money will come. The money will come. Is this more so of, is your character and your heart in a good condition to where if Allah increases that, would you not become forgetful of what what Allah has bestowed upon you out of your means, right? What you can do. But prosperity means that to me is the fact that hey, you're content and you're happy. And I've never been a dusty. I'll say that word. I've never been like even before the dean. I've never, so I was confused with my situations. Like I've never been no struggle type of dude. I've actually stayed away from kind of people like this. Been up bit, but I was always upward mobile type, or what would you call that? Progressive.
Progressive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a progressive brother. College degrees, you know what I'm saying? Never like I've been working since I was 16 years old. Never not been working, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had success as entrepreneur in business, and get ready to have it again, inshallah, if Allah wills. I always was able to get around good people and good energy and people circles. People always appreciated and respected me. So to me, that's me being prosperous. So I think what we're looking at or talking about really is a mindset thing here.
Mm-hmm.
How we're looking at this thing. What has skewed the mindset of prosperity? Is it because we're seeing people on Instagram, and I'm gonna say a term that we use in the natty, perping, right? Lying, perping.
Mm-hmm.
You perping. So you don't absorb 24 hours of people perping and flogging. That Birkin bag that she got is been on a credit card. The credit card almost maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? People, I'm an entrepreneur, but I got all these things going on, and they are known in the community for fraud and scamming people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a mindset of how we're looking at this. But me being prosperous has everything to do with Allah, character, and being content on what you have and appreciative of what you have. And what it seems like I'm noticing is that some sisters become unappreciative, and some men do too. Well, if your wife is going to buck, she got the pom poms on for you and she's cheerleading for you. So you don't lost 2 jobs and 3 jobs and she's still standing behind you. Mm-hmm. You don't blew 2 businesses and she's still standing behind you. You got to appreciate that. Like, okay, I'm gonna do better next time. So it's a mindset thing. And when it
I'm glad you said that, man. Because we having this conversation, right? I'm glad you said that because I know if anybody dig into this conversation a little bit further into what we're talking right now, and I know if a sister hear that, they're gonna think, they talk about the sisters. They always talk about the sisters. You know what I mean? And what about that sister who stand behind us? Okay, we're acknowledging the sisters that stand behind the brother who got difficulties going on. Right. And he might lost his job and he done lost his job or whatever. Or he done blow some money. It ain't even lost his job. He done blow some money. You know what I mean? She's still in there with him. So we're not sitting there saying that, we recognize those women.
Absolutely. They're the MVPs.
Right. We recognize those women. And, even for those women there, we ask, we want them brothers, to make sure they show appreciation to those sisters.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you got a sister like that, you know what I mean, who, regardless of whatever her other, because she may have some shortcomings still, you still work within those shortcomings. You say, hey, I appreciate you. I love you. I care about you. You try to show it as well as speak it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all you can do. Right. But it goes a long way. So I don't want, this whole conversation to get caught with.
Right.
We thinking, brothers but we are talking about an experience.
Exactly.
That some men get when they transitioning through divorce, how they try to work their head out of the situation.
Right.
What the feelings might be, and we recognize feelings aren't facts.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And so, we don't never want to be in a position to take it. I got to take my feelings as a factual situation. My feelings can, just because it's my feelings, they could be misleading me. Right. And so then I have to have some type of wisdom over my feelings. My brothers, letting you know, we get caught up emotionally too.
We do.
Now, because I done seen a lot of brothers be online talking real emotionally. You know what I mean? Spilling out the guts and spilling out the stuff. And I ain't sitting there saying, I'm saying there's a healthy way of doing that. Brother Saleem and I are trying to give avenues for this to try to take place to let you know that, hey, we recognize that brothers are hurting out here.
They are.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we can't do it the way that we see, a lot of our sisters are doing it. You know what I mean? Put everything on blast, put everything in there, just telling this, because at the end of the day, brother, let me tell y'all something, man. It's more of them online than it is us.
What you mean by that, OG?
Is more women online than it is men.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they're gonna be on a situation, man. They can be able to amen each other, all right. And real talk, they can amen, all right. And then they see, if you show the interest in one of the sisters, they'll turn on it too. Just that quick.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh shoot, I don't know. Well, I'm giving him a try because I just see the good in him. All right, and you got those sisters out there too. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so but is more women out there who are online who caught up in these conversations than are men. Even though some men are caught in these conversations, we're not getting pulled into a lot of those conversations. So you're gonna always start looking like the bad guy when you start trying to come back at it.
Yeah, that's what I've learned is if you see these sisters and they're posting things to try to trigger men, I don't even comment on them. You
Yeah,
know.
because you comment, then next thing you know, you're gonna have a slew of them, gang of them up on you. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, you're gonna be looking like something wrong with you. I
Right.
see.
You're gonna become the red pill, blue pill pillar guy.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
so and they put it out there for a reason to get you. And I think that we as brothers have to be more emotionally intelligent online now than ever before.
Right.
You gotta be able to push past things. How those things we should be ignoring. We should be ignoring those kind of things and and pushing past them.
Right.
And because it will help stop this. This I would say like gender war thing, like this beefing. I think this is to be honest or to be clear. I don't like that word. To be clear,
Mhm.
I think something's going on where it's some kind of programming happening. There's some kind of experiment going on with this whole gender warring thing. Something is happening here. I think somebody has put a lot of money behind a machine to keep us at odds with each other, and it's via these smartphones and these computers and these tablets and all that. Like it's real. And
Wow, you know what, man? I'm not really the conspiracy
me either.
theorist, right? But I ain't gonna tell you no lie, man. I believe the same thing.
Yeah, because
I should be the same thing, man, because there is a lot, man, in the propaganda. And I mean, it's like the algorithms are tuned for it.
yeah, because all the content now is you got guys. And I noticed after Kevin Samuels departed the market when he passed away,
Mhm.
all of a sudden you got all these brothers who you got sisters too becoming experts on relationships. All of a sudden, you hearing accountability. Then you got a segment of where you can tell the sisters they're mad. And then you got the brothers who are definitely mad at women, and they got their platforms, and y'all ain't doing this, and y'all can't cook. And I'm like, somebody has a vested interest in this.
Mhm.
Somebody is funding. This has a follow the money smell to it.
Mm.
Who's behind this, keeping us at each other like this? Because like especially in it, but it's always black men and women. I don't see the Pakistani men or the Arab men.
Oh, even white men.
No,
I
right? It's we right. It's been confined to only one community when it comes to relationships, dating, and all these functions are being put on blast to the point where it's like somebody is funding this, and I'm not, and I smell it, and it smells fishy. It stinks to high hell, astaghfirullah, and I want to know who's behind it.
right. Oh, well, we probably never get that part, right?
No, right,
We probably never get that part. But it's I do believe it's anybody who is trying to make a dollar off of us, because the idea of pushing this type of narrative, and you look at various different even podcasts and different things, content, people putting things out. Those contents, it is not amazing, man. Our homeboy, Cat Williams, right?
Right.
You know, that he got on one man show and blew his thing up to 80 million views.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
For what? Talking about somebody.
And I love Cat Williams too. I'm a Cat Williams fan.
I mean, that's our homeboy. I mean, I like it.
Stand up.
He's a decent comedian. He's really a decent comedian. I really like him. You know what I mean? But I'm sitting there saying just the idea of this person being able to what they call spill tea.
Yeah, the chatty patty, the content.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To be able to do something on talking about somebody or talking about somebody else's business. Right. That it blowed this dude to a whole new stratosphere. On he ain't never gonna get those type of views probably again, right?
Right.
But the idea of then somebody, I mean, he got the advertising dollars now.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? I'm looking at on that podcast who came after that now.
Mm-hmm.
Sadiq Ali. You're looking at what's the one? Arnaz. Mm-hmm. Another brother from Cincinnati, Gary Owens, right? But it's all in response to the chatty pattiness, so that's money.
Exactly.
That's content. So is it willing to keep our dysfunctions airing out because it's profitable? Let the content, if that makes sense. I mean, like, hey, let this content roll out, but some views better come and that money better come. So who profits off of that? These streaming platforms, YouTube, with Cat Williams, that check, even Shannon was like, man, that check, that check.
Mm-hmm.
So we have forfeited our credibility. We forfeited, integrity. Papoose and Remy mom now. You got Papoose and Remy, right? We forfeited our integrity for views, clicks, and likes to get the check off these platforms. So we keeping YouTube running right now.
Right. And I think that's the thing when we start having this conversation, our conversation here is to enlighten and to give somebody, okay, here's you having a voice. We ain't sitting there talking about nobody's business. And we ain't sitting there talking about, all you women are crazy, all you women are this, all you women are that, or whatever. And we ain't saying all you brothers are good, all you brothers are solid, we're saying that we have some work that we need to do. And here come a plug. That's why the Muslim Wellness Summit is going to be important, right? Here comes the plug, right?
Right.
27th, 28th of this month in Baltimore, Maryland. This is why we are really trying to do certain things, not only on those 2 days there, but before we get there and after we leave there. Because this is what I understand. The work will still need to be done before we get there, while we there, and when we leave.
Mm-hmm.
That work's still going to be done because it's going to be somebody who's going to reach out to you. I know people, you tell me people have been reaching out to you. I mean, I got people reaching out to me and saying, man, I really like what you're telling us. I think me and my wife went to a iftar a couple of this past Ramadan, and it was like sister was saying she always reposts my stuff because I maybe put her stuff up, and she's like, I really love the conversation that you are having with Black men.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I told her, sister, I appreciate it. She said, all means, you come to it, you share on this platform every time, anytime. Because I love the content you having in there. We're not having conversations with Black men.
No.
And so, and we got to where the joys lie, how we do something better, and what are the pain points that we experience, and what can we do something. And this is kind of where we are today. If I'm running about full circle,
mm-hmm.
When we start talking about, men hurt when they go through breakups.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't handle a breakup in the best of ways, right?
Right.
And so now, okay, if I'm sitting there saying to you, all right, bro, I'm your brother. I'm your ear for you. You know what I mean? You come, I'm here for you. Those are safe spaces that we got to start looking for.
Yeah. It's important you find them.
Right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I know I can sit there and dial you up and say, hey, man, holler at you right quick. Blase, blase, blase. Right.
Right.
And we can have those conversations. Right. We have various different conversations. And you can do that with me. And then
Right.
you have some other people who, not even in the circle that we are creating. You know what I mean? You have people outside of that, and you can be that kind of conduit for them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or that couch for them. That
Mhm.
soft face to sit and to land
Right.
for them. And this is kind of the thing that I think, circling back to even, you coming through. And I want to say this to you. I think you've been doing a remarkable job.
I appreciate that. I really do.
I want to give you flowers, you know what I mean, in person and in private, you know what I mean.
Right.
I think you've been doing a remarkable job on, I still look at your content, that. I still look
Right.
at your content, you know what I mean,
Right.
on Brother Saleem TV, and another
Yep.
plug on TikTok,
I'll
you know
take
what
that.
I mean.
Yep.
And so I check out your content, and I've seen how you've kind of grown in doing some of your own content.
Yeah, and I had to in the sense that I was gonna, I was watching the thing on Kobe Bryant about how he mastered channeling his pain into a success or to different ways. So you know, Allah gave me opportunity with you and just change my circle to where I've been able to turn my pain and my frustration into positive outlets. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm gonna use my pain, in this divorce, to do two things: grow closer to Allah, but also improve my character. But also not make the pain a negative thing, make the pain a positive thing, so people can learn from it and build from it. And especially the ones that we trying to target, which is Black Muslim men or Black men in particular. Like we're targeting them to let them know that, hey, listen, there's a better way to channel those disappointments. And because what you're really looking at is as Black men who are extremely frustrated, dealing with PSTD, head on a swivel, and then to be in the confines or a circumference of, whether it be a woman or whoever your partner is, them not understanding you, or them taking shots at you, or them magnifying your shortcomings instead of talking about it to help you get past your shortcomings and make you a better man. And that's what I'm finding out. I didn't have a lot of that. I didn't have a lot of that. Maybe it's because of who I am as a person. I'm like kind of private and things of that nature. But I appreciate you so much for being like a real a solid mentor, because I think that a lot of our elders and our elders, because there's a difference between elders and elders. I'll get into that in another podcast.
Right.
But our elders, they haven't made the pathway for young Black men to get the mentorship and get poured into. So I think we've shown an example of how we can come together. What I'm saying, it's old school, new school, to kind of bridge the gap. So I'm appreciative of you allowing me to change my pain into something positive with the podcast, because I was always in the podcasting. When I got with you and with your platform and Get Made, it kind of just took off in a different way of content, and it was like, man, I love what we doing here, and I love the fact that I got brothers reaching out like, bro, that podcast helped me, I'm saying, like that. I'm glad y'all said that, y'all mentioned it. I'm going through the same exact thing, and so that we can compare notes to get past our calamities or difficulties that we may be going through. So I'm happy that you realize that my growth is there, and I thought,
And sometimes, man, we don't tell each other a lot of times, man, to help each other out. It's called positive reinforcement.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And we have to be in a position of positively reinforcing it. If we see a good thing, we want to accentuate the good thing. We want the thing to get built, continue to get built. If we see something bad, we want to reduce the bad, right? So, as our prophet Saleem, I think he said, when we see something that we dislike, look to that which we like. You see what I'm saying? And so, because there is something that we like taking place,
Right.
right? And so, if I then can say to my brothers, "Hey, look, man, I like how you did that. That was what's up, man. You did that. That was kind of smooth there. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And then we can talk on a where it ain't pretentious. I ain't trying to sun you. You know what I mean? We ain't going through them finality, those gymnastics. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to sun you. You ain't trying to pops me. You know what I mean? I ain't your daddy. You ain't my son, but we're brothers. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And there's things I can learn from you, things you learn from me. But the reality of it is we have to also tell each other, now, hey man, maybe you should do that differently. Oh man, you should do more of that.
Right. Yeah.
When you see somebody get it right, let them know they got it right.
Yeah. And I was saying that in one of my other podcasts. I was saying, or my TikTok post was like, or it's been on my mind. I forget what I was saying this at, but letting go of that hater spirit. I think that this hater energy has been around Black men, and I don't know, and maybe it's a Willie Lynch thing, but letting go of that hater spirit. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the '90s where saying we used to say, don't be a player hater, be a congratulator.
Be a congratulator.
Yeah, and you see next man grinding and shining, bro. You know what I'm saying? I've never had that energy at all, but it's one of those things. Like, bro, when you see folks grinding and doing stuff like different people with they platforms and they killing it in the business and killing it whatever in their marriage and killing it, and give them the kudos, give them flowers. You know what I'm saying? It's we making it cool to do that now. Like, man, don't stop being a hater. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't whether it be on when the camera's in front of you or privately, like get that hater energy off of you, man. Like get that out of the system, because I don't think like having a hater energy won't put you around people like me and you and people that you've been able to, like with the wellness conference coming up, who like, man, you got to be a polished individual and not have any kind of ego to be able to attract qualified people that have tools to help you and want to be around and come to you their time to come to your event. Like, you got to let go of that hater energy. So I think that's what we need to do more as Black men, is let that energy go. You know what I'm saying? You see Hassan grinding and shining, pull up on him. And I love y'all podcast. You see Brother Saleem out in public or whatever you on TikTok, I love what you're doing. Give us a like and a share. Come support us.
Exactly. And you want to change these gender war type of situations. Start really sharing and liking and commenting on the stuff.
Yeah,
that's really out there. That's positive.
Like for example, on the wellness summit coming up, like, well, we should have brothers. Tickets should be flying off bro. We got brothers out here that's really trying to like be well, and like, so you walking around here saying as a Black man you well. You want to invest $100 or whatever how much the tickets cost to be around polished individuals and get some tools you may need, like as a Black man or a Muslim Black man, like you. To me, that's hating. Right. That's hating. You like, I ain't gonna go to that. I ain't going to that. But let your ego go and come down and build with your brothers. We gonna be there.
Right. Come and build. Exactly. Come and build.
I want to see the ticket roster. I want to see some Black Muslim names on that roster. Like, hey, I want to see. I mean, you're right. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be more area. I'm gonna be there. Facts. Pull up on me. I want to meet you, brother.
Right. You know what I mean? And that's what, even, man, when you reach out to people personally, I say, hey, man, I'm being your area, man. I want to shake your hand. I met you online, or, I talked to you on the phone, but I want to shake your hand. Come through. You know what I mean? I want to shake your hand. You know what I mean? And we're going to have a lot of things as we can. And I'm going to tap into that. I'm going to let you kind of get the last segment of some things out before we close up.
Yep.
We're going to go from there. All right?
Right. Inshallah. Yep.
It's on you, boss.
So this is like what the Saleem sidebar.
Yeah, it's the Saleem sidebar. Okay, the Saleem sidebar. We got to figure out a better name.
I know. It's kind of on the spot. Father's Day is coming up. Father's Day is a big is coming up, and I wanted to say that fatherhood has been on my heart and my mind a whole lot lately. I'm saying this because what I've been going through personally and stuff like that with my boys, man. And I just wanted to encourage the brothers that are great fathers, that are going through, any kind of custody battles or any kind of child support situations like that. I wanted to encourage them today to keep advocating for their babies, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay to let go of toxic individuals, even if you have children by them. It's okay to dismount that. But if you do, make sure those children are still at the front of what you do, and your legacy and lineage is important. You know, it's very important to maintain that and fight for that and advocate for that. But you know, I hope that this year will be different as far as the sisters who may be at odds with the father of their children or their ex-husband, whoever it may be, may send him a text and let him know that you see him, and Happy Father's Day will be enough and be sufficient, right? That's going back to being a hater, right? Let's not get into the hater spirit and start bashing men on Father's Day. You know, I'm hoping that we can see less of that this Father's Day coming up on the 15th, I believe, right? Father's Day.
Yeah, I think it's 14th.
14th.
Yeah, I think it's 15th.
Yeah. So, but to me, Father's Day is every day for me because, you know, I have and love my children dearly. You know what I'm saying? And love other people that ain't my children dearly. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where fatherhood, you know, that's going back to accountability with the Get Make acronym stands for. Fatherhood is a part of that, and we take fatherhood very, very seriously. And you know, shame on anybody who would try to hate on or strip or attack fatherhood, because there's some outstanding Black fathers out here that are suffering in silence, going through things, ain't saying nothing, but they love their babies and their children, and are trying to create a legacy and a pathway for them to have success when they are gone. I'm one of those brothers, and so are you. And we're not perfect as fathers. I'm not sitting there saying we the best father, we Black men, we the best fathers. But studies are showing that as of recently, Black men are the more active fathers now. We have Black men who are getting it right. We have a win as far as fatherhood that should be acknowledged at this point. You know, and so I'm just going to send that encouragement out for Father's Day. We might have another podcast coming up pretty soon about, you know, before Father's Day. But I wanted to get that out there now, because fatherhood has been on my heart a whole lot. And you know, I want to say happy birthday to my son Muawiyah, who turned 13 a few days ago. You know, he's not with me this summer, but I wanted to give him a rites of passage, but I wasn't able to do so. But when he gets back, inshallah, I will. But I mean, I called him and I'm like, man, your voice got a little deeper. He's like, hey, Dad. I said, I lost it. I said, oh man, you know what I'm saying? I lost it. I was like, what? So I just feel encouraged that because I'm doing my healing, and fatherhood means so much to me that I'm able to pour into my babies, man. And I'm not missing the mark on that. And I feel really encouraged, inspired. Although my fatherhood experience, in my opinion, was weaponized against me, I still continue to desire to be that great father that I never had. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why other men like you and pouring into each other is important, because it helps us be better fathers. Mm-hmm. And I'll land with that for my sidebar, Saleem.
Sidebar, brother Saleem.
Sidebar. Bars. You know what I'm saying? You see me flowing? You see me flowing?
I saw it, man. That was nice, boy.
Yeah. Off the dome, you know? So.
Hey, man. Mashallah, man. I definitely, man. And y'all going to see more of this, you know, because I want the brother to be able to definitely express himself a little bit more. And because it takes us all, right? It takes him, takes me, takes him, it takes you, our viewers, you know, our audience. And we want to thank you for tuning in with us. Of course, we already mentioned it before, the Muslim Wellness Summit in Baltimore, Maryland on the 27th, 28th at the Assembly Room. We are looking to have a great time. We're going to have the Jumu'ah. We're going to have the Jumu'ah there first, right? And then for those who are going to come, the Jumu'ah is going to be there. And then we're going to, you know, tip over into the program itself that Friday and then that Saturday. So definitely please be there. You know, please be in attendance. Also, still the book. You know, there was a lot of stuff that we actually talked about today. Kind of got some answers for in my book, Taming the Storm: Understanding and Overcoming High Conflict Personalities for a Peaceful Life. Got some answers there, so y'all can check that book out. You can check it out at houseandclay.net. And last but not least, always please share this information. The only way that we can kind of get right and start tipping into the algorithms a little bit more, we have to be consistent about the people who are liking, the people who are sharing. People, we just ask for the support,
Yeah.
right? We're asking for the support. Like it, put a comment on it, even if it's Salam's or whatever. Just put a comment on that, and put some emojis on it. I don't know what they do, but that's
Well,
what.
listen, you can even criticize. I listen. I love listen.
Yeah, hey, even give us some,
Feedback.
constructive feedback.
Absolutely. Y'all can do this. Y'all
And
did
so,
that.
right, and how we can, are some things that you like to hear from us. Now, here's the crazy thing about it. I get these in the inbox, so don't get it twisted. We do get them in the inbox, but in order for other people to kind of get it, we need it to be on the page itself. Right? It's just the trick of the algorithms. The algorithms ain't feeding off the message in inbox messages, right? It's coming on what's happening on the front page, and so we got some concerns, some critiques, some data boys or whatever. We welcome in at all. We want it all because we want to get better. Now, if you come in here tripping, and you come in acting a fool, we ain't tolerating foolishness.
Yeah.
Let me be clear.
Get your issue. Get your issue.
Yeah, we ain't tolerating all that. But we do want to respect everybody that comes through, right? And we can have a conversation, and we can agree to disagree, right? That's okay too. Everything ain't got to have a finality type of situation, a fatal aspect to it, because we disagree. Now somebody got to die type of action. What I mean? That is the most asinine thing now, man. I see how we got there, but I want to see how we can get out of that, because we do it on everything now, and I'm just kind of hitting it. It's the reason why I'm here. We do these things on a variety of things. We take this stuff, we take the street stuff, and put it into everything we do.
Yeah.
So, you may not be pulling out your gun and shooting somebody. How to say pew pew in somebody. You got words now. You know what I mean? I'm learning that. Get you right.
Yeah, you learn it.
Unalive in somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you are character assassinating, and that's just as important. Because we still got to live here together, y'all. Rodney King said it very famously over 30 years ago. Can't we all just get along? We're going to be here for a while.
Yeah, you might as well go ahead and do your wellness and your healing and get with brothers that's like-minded to help you, or sisters to help you.
Exactly. But we have to be the one who drive the narrative now. We have to bring the new narrative. And we can't allow these dusty creeps, these weirdos. You know what I mean? We can't allow these people to keep running the narrative.
Yeah.
Because they're doing nothing. Look, they keep running these narratives after you cats. I'm telling you now, y'all gonna be on a whole lot of medication. And you're gonna seek a whole lot of different therapy.
Yeah, you're gonna be ungrateful, not appreciative of what you got going on.
Exactly. You're gonna keep you're gonna keep worrying about the Joneses, trying to keep up with the Joneses. That's what we used to say back in the day, keeping up with the Joneses. You're gonna be trying to keep up with everything that's going on, other than being content with what your Lord has given you. If He gave you that car, drive your car. But don't get the car because you see the dude down the street got a car. Get the car because you want a car. You know what I mean? I ain't got to have the Benz because old boy around the corner around the Benz. You know what I mean? But I want a nice whip because I just want a nice whip.
Yeah, I'm to the point now. I'm gonna start up and drive. I'm at that point now. Listen,
bro, you got your pull up game. Got to be good. Your pull up game got to be tight now, though. You know, I got to get you that too, man. You take
yeah,
your pull up
I ain't like you, big money. You know what I'm saying? The BMWs, the S series and the
yeah, man. All that ain't necessary.
Ain't pulling out like that, you know.
All that ain't necessary. You know what I mean? All that ain't necessary. Because at the end of the day, it's status driven. Right. And that's a part of this gender war thing that's going on too, because it's all status related. You know. So check us out. Check us out again. Any comments, concerns, please subscribe. Please put it in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you feel. If y'all want anything, y'all want the brother Saleem because he's around town. If y'all want him to show up for one of your programs or something, by all means, let them know how they can find you, Saleem.
You can find me on Instagram, Brother Saleem 2, or on TikTok at Bro Saleem on TikTok. Also, if you go on Facebook, I'm Saleem Abdul Mutakalim on Facebook. ABDUL-MUT, aka LLIM as in Mary. But I want to listen. I be bored on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to go to some events. I will pull up to your event, baby shower, bar mitzvah.
Hey, bro.
Barbecue. I'm your cousin.
You doing too much, man.
No, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
He okay. He pull it up.
I come to your bar dressed like this. Bar mitzvah. Taking notes. Oh, that's what that is. What kind of cake is that? I'm interested. I'm taking notes.
Oh my God! Hey man, I'm so happy I pulled you on this show, man, because I ain't laughed so much, man. I can tell you, man. You keep me laughing. That's what I said, the bar mitzvah. But alhamdulillah, by all means, though, if y'all have some things he can show up for you, of course, for myself, you have some things that you want us to show up for. By all means, contact us. Let us know. We definitely want to be a part of the community and support the community. And we can have a real conversation. So, but with that, of course, on YouTube at the Get Made Podcast, please subscribe. Follow me on any other platform at the Hase Clay Experience on Instagram and TikTok. Like I ain't on a whole bunch of stuff, right? And of course, check out my website. That's haseclay.net. So you can find me in a bunch of places. Let's find each other. So with that, next week, I think I got a couple of good guests. I'm going to see which one I'm gonna air out on y'all next week, right? It's gonna be pretty interesting next week. And so a brother gonna be out of town. He gonna be back in the Natty.
I'm pulling up to your bar mitzvah, your barbecues. I'm coming home, baby. 513 where I at? I ain't been home in a minute.
Yeah, hey man,
I need rides from the airport. I need, Brother Saleem coming home. Y'all love me no more? What's going on?
Hey, get some good food, man. You bring some grippos back with you.
Grippos, my Skylines, my La Rosas. Yes, I'm gonna be gaining 20 pounds, but it's okay because I'm back home with my family.
Alhamdulillah, man. And so definitely check him out. When you get back to the Natty, check him out. And we're gonna see you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right. Alhamdulillah.